What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Third and Longhorn. Today we are doing our season recap and analysis. Obviously, we don't have a game this weekend. Getting ready for the playoff game the following week, but we wanted to kind of go through this season, not only analyze each position, but also take a second just to celebrate these guys and the amazing season they've had so far. I think we kind of get lost in it because we're so down in it. These guys have done something amazing. Mm-hmm. They're the only team to make the playoff this year and last year. And I just think it's something to be celebrated. I mean, first off, shout outs to the squad and the coaches and everybody. It's been an awesome ride. Obviously, we're not done yet. And we'll get into it. The SEC championship loss, Texas drops to number 4. And we got the 5th seed overall in the college football playoff. And we're matching up with number 13, Clemson. And as we mentioned on the 21st at 3 p.m., is that correct?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 p.m. Yeah, couldn't remember the time. TNT. Yeah, not that we're counting the minutes down. We will have our first ever playoff game at Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium.
Yeah.
Let's
go. Yeah, what a consolation.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a little bit of silver lining for the fans.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Well, let's get into it real fast. Kind of want y'all's. Since everybody was kind of out last week, except for Oak, I want to hear everybody's quick thoughts on the championship game. I like that we just go to Hill.
I'm a little salty, and I'm not salty for the reasons that don't make you proud, right? I'm proud of the way we competed. Mm-hmm. I'm proud of the way we showed up. I'm proud that we punched the bully back and punched first. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm proud that for not just 4, but 5 quarters of football, Texas laid it all out there in all aspects of the game. The parts that I'm just like, I'm cringing on, like fuming is like, we had our moments. We had our moments to take the game over. We had our moments to put them in a hole that's tough to come back from. Mm-hmm. We had our moments to run away with the momentum. We had our moments to go win the game. And every time we had our actual, if we do X, we probably win. Mm-hmm. We missed that mark. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And when I'm just looking at, and again, man, this Texas team is so good. In the grand scheme of things, the end goal is still available. Yeah, absolutely. Right? Oh, yeah. But for that game, for that game on that day, to be the king of the SEC, because that's what you were playing for. That was nothing but bragging rights. Mm-hmm. That was nothing in an extra week off in the playoffs, but that was nothing but bragging rights. And I look at that game and I'm like, obviously I sound like just a homer saying we beat ourselves, but when I'm looking at this game, I'm like, man, another year of Kirby being top dog because we didn't capitalize on those small moments that we had. It was nothing about that game that you looked at and you like, Georgia's going to win this game. Nothing about that game led you to believe that. True. When you looked at that game, you started to, as the game went on, you was like, man, if Texas don't blank, then Georgia will win this game. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you never looked at that game feeling like Georgia going to win this game.
Well, I think we said it after the first quarter and the first half where Texas was just total domination and was up 6-3.
Yeah. But I say it all the time, right? You got to give Kirby his card, man. He kept those boys in it, and they found a way. They found a way to win the game, right? And I'm looking at us like, it's the smallest things. You catch that pick, you can't celebrate. It's time to find my assignment. It's time to run this pick all the way back, right? You get into the red zone 4 or 5 times. Yeah. One, mind you, all those red zone trips, including overtime, not one of them turned into a touchdown. We did not have a single red zone touchdown.
Yeah. And you do need to give Georgia their credit, but I think there was a mix of us not executing as well as a great defense.
Absolutely, and a great defense is what we expected to play, right? But that's not. I don't believe that's an excuse for our non-execution or our execution being just non-existent that day. But when I look at it, man, the game plan was solid. The players played their butts off. They competed. We hit. We tackled. We punched. They won plays. We won plays. It was a championship game that took again extra innings. But the difference is when it's all on the line, they got a touchdown and we got a field goal. And I'm thinking out these small things, man. Like, because if it really comes down to it, then we probably either gonna see Oregon, Georgia, or Notre Dame. If we do what we need to do, we're gonna see Oregon and then Georgia or Notre Dame. More than just by.
We'll get into that later. I don't think we should be looking past any
my point is that there will come another challenge where there's going to be an even playing field of talent. Yeah. A even playing field of competitive spirit, aggression, and understanding of assignment, football IQ. Coaching is going to be just about even. And ultimately, what's going to win the championship games are those moments. Yeah. So we got to answer that.
Fozzy, what do you got?
Yeah, I feel the exact same way as Jay. And I think the difference between Georgia versus Texas is Georgia's done this before. Kirby's been here before. It's nothing new to him. For this Texas team, they're still fairly new to this recent success that Texas has had. And it was just a year ago that Texas celebrated their first conference championship in over a decade. It was a year ago that they were able to have double-digit wins. Now you follow up that success. You have double-digit wins again, but they haven't necessarily done it at this level consistently. And I think Georgia was the epitome of that, being able to showcase, hey, with all odds stacked up against us, this is the second time that we're playing this team and viewed as an underdog. I know it's in our hometown, right in Atlanta in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, but at the end of the day, no matter what, they found a way to win, and I think it's because they've been there before. Yeah. And they've had these moments and opportunities, and they've been able to capitalize. But they've also experienced whenever they weren't able to capitalize and how that has affected them. At the end of the day, that's a growing experience for that team that they were able to utilize. And Gunnar Stockton coming in, experienced it for himself, a first-time player in a big-time game, that can bode a long way. Same for our Longhorn team, right? The young cats, they're experiencing, they don't ever want to feel this feeling again. Yeah. They don't ever want to have the moment missed or having that opportunity pass by them while they had a chance to be able to do something about it. So I think it's a great learning experience where Texas is right now in the kind of infancy stages of claiming back being on top of college football and back in the mix of one of the top 10 programs in the country consistently. Whereas Georgia has been doing that. And I think that was the difference in the game. And Texas just has to learn how, like you said, you can't beat yourselves, but then at the same time, you got to go find a way to win it. Yeah. Not lose it, but win it and take everything that is yours. And I think this Texas team, they can still do it. Everything is still available for them to do it, and we'll see how they respond with Clemson coming into your backyard. But at the end of the day, this Texas team will have to learn how to go take it rather than the success that they experience feeling as though that's how it's supposed to be. Now you still got to go get it.
Yeah, I think that's
two field goals missed.
Yeah, and I think it's a great point though. We've said it so many games. We gotta learn to put teams away, or else when you play someone that's a higher caliber, they're gonna come back. And we finally got it. We finally had it bite us back.
And you seen Georgia do this throughout the year.
Yep. Yeah,
throughout the year, you've seen them. I mean,
they played that game against Kentucky.
You know who they look like right now, like comparatively speaking, not stylistically or anything, but just that feeling of like until it's over, it's not over. They look like the Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that team is not going to mess up and lose a game. It's not going to happen. You gotta put them away.
You gotta take it.
And if you don't, there's a high probability that this could get bad for you at some point. Mm-hmm. We seen it with Georgia Tech. Yeah. No way Georgia Tech thought that game that they were going to lose that game. They put one ball on the ground and they found themselves in 8 overtimes later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. TJ, you know what? Great summary on everything. I mean, we're going to say the exact same thing because we all feel the same way. At the end of the day, personally, a lot of missed opportunities, and it went to overtime, right? So when you line up how many missed opportunities, we can line them up. We kind of know them. Missed field goal, didn't do good in the red zone.
The punt, fake punt.
The fake punt. Mm-hmm. That was a really gutsy one that no one knew that was going to come. That was only Kirby's going to do that one right there, right? But then defensively. In the second half, we got a little more leaky in the running game because we're trying to so what happens playing defense, like when you're in a big time game, sometimes, and you know this, Hope, you start pressing, right? I got this gap, but it's like, man, let me go get a part of this, and you're like, dang it. We got it in every football organization has a sign up in their room or whatever. It says, do your job, right? Yeah. And some teams, when they do their job, they're not quite good enough. The Texas Longhorns, when they do their job, especially on the defense side of the ball, we're solid. Absolutely. Like we're solid in the run game and solid in the on the back end with the passing. But man, again, Georgia's been here before, so have we learned from this? Absolutely. Is it a hard learning lesson for us? Yes. Mm-hmm. Did we get better from the last game we played them?
Oh,
absolutely. So we have full confidence. I didn't come out of this game saying, man, you scratching my head like I don't know what we're going to do. No, we just was kind of mad on the bragging rights, just like you were saying. And we want that, right? This first year in the SEC, and everybody was saying we couldn't do it. We got into the last game, 2 teams left, and we let them have it. I kind of feel like what's his name, Dennis. What is it? Dennis Green, the famous. But listen, I'm serious. They were who we thought they were. Yeah. Offensively just okay. Defensively, they play pretty good against us. But we let them off the hook. And I mean, you can crown them. What do you say? You can crown them, but we let them off the hook. That's what it is, man. I'm still optimistic about our team.
No question.
We got some good stuff going for us. So we'll talk about everything.
Everything we want is still in front of.
I want to say one thing. There's probably nobody more frustrated about the performance that the Texas Longhorns had than the Texas Longhorns themselves.
That is true.
So that's just for all the fans out there, they want to fix it more than any of us as fans watching the game.
And their expectations are higher than what we
have. Yeah, exactly.
My fault. I'm patiently waited. Here it comes.
Real quick, I gave most of my thoughts on the post-game show. So I came today with just a few numbers. I'm on my Rod Babers tip right now.
Yeah. Okay. Talk to him.
4 biggest games for us in recent memory: Alabama, Washington, the 2 Georgia games. Mm-hmm. The game we won, Alabama, when it comes to penalties, we had 4, they had 10.
Yep.
We had 0 turnovers, they had 2. We see why we won. The next 3 games we lost. Washington, 10 penalties for us, 5 penalties for them. 2 turnovers for us, 1 turnover for them. First time we played Georgia, 8 penalties to 7 penalties, 4 turnovers for us, 3 turnovers for them. This game last week, 11 penalties to 5 penalties for them, 3 turnovers for us, 2 turnovers for them. The game we won the penalties battle and we won the turnover battle. The 3 we lost all phases of that. That's it right there. There was a couple questions coming out of that game. These are the answers. Bill Belichick says, he has a famous quote, "You can't win until you stop from losing." One of his best quotes ever. That's us in the biggest games. We don't show up as ourselves. And it's because we're beating ourselves. When the lights are brightest and we're on our biggest stage, we are not the best versions of ourselves, and we got to figure that out. Last thing I'm going to say about this defense, and DJ already kind of highlighted a little bit. Our defense is good enough to win games for us. I think they got to shift their mentality to that. I think they got to shift the mentality to no matter what the offense does, we're good enough to get the job done.
I've been on teams like that. That's a good.
That's Georgia.
Yeah, if our defense had that mentality, then Gilbo's blocking for Jade on that interception. We're not giving up 2 explosive runs in the second half. We're stopping them on the goal line. Yeah. To me, that's what I left the game saying.
The only thing I will say, a couple of those penalties.
We're not going to turn this into
man. It was 11 to 5. 11 to 5.
I totally agree.
If it was a little bit closer, I could say that.
Okay.
11 to 5.
Still 11 is way too many.
That's fair.
Was it 8 in the first half?
Yeah.
It was 8 in the first half.
What Sark say? It would be nice to see some of them too. It would be nice to be seeing some of them
Let's
too.
talk about that. Like, Sark does not break character. He is like always so good, and you could tell he was writhing mad at that moment. He not only answered it like that, he looked at do you remember he just goes,
"Oh yeah." Yeah.
Like it was
but like look at that though. And not trying to just find a silver lining. I'm just trying to call out facts here. What you said are facts. 11 penalties and 3 turnovers. And it's 16-16 in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah. It shows you how good this team can be.
They know like better than anybody else. Y'all are better than good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all are better than good,
Yeah.
man. You can win this thing. So, playoff starting, man.
All right. Well, we got to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we're going to have Jeremy and Fozzy breaking down the Texas offense, as well as starting to get into DJ and Oak breaking down the Texas defense for this year. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Third and Longhorn, where we are breaking down the Texas offense and Texas defense at the end of the regular season. And we're going to start off with the quarterbacks. So, obviously, Quinn Ewers, 233 at 352 for 2,665 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and 22 sacks. Arch Manning, 61 and 90, 939 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 picks, and 6 sacks. Well, guys, give us your thoughts, good and bad, on the quarterback room.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. Between both of those quarterbacks, it's 34 tutties, 11 picks, and almost 35 yards, 3,500 yards of 35,000, 3,500 yards of passing offense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, that's solid. Mm-hmm. That's solid. Now, the one thing that there are things that you want to see from this room that don't show up on a stat sheet. You know, if you're just looking at these numbers, then you'll probably say, you know, completion percentage, I'm not going to try that math. I'd like to know what that is. And then secondarily, 22 sacks. I definitely want that number to come down. I feel like I've said it throughout the year. I feel like sometimes, you know, finding like a soft landing place is not what we want, right? Let's try to stay on track. But we know Quinn Ewers can play football. Absolutely. We know that he can play quarterback, complete passes, throw for a ton of yards, and throw touchdowns. And that's what we see here. So is he capable of doing that? Yes, that box has been checked. Situational awareness and finishing in the red zone is what I would want to see the next step throughout the playoffs from this room. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm looking at and this production from the season, I'm not mad at it. Not mad at it at all. But I think the next step is, all right, how do we stay on the field, situational football, and then how do we finish in the red zone?
Yeah, and the red zone conversion rate has just gone down. You remember at the start of the year we were saying we solved it. We're done.
good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean that in a lot of the questions early on were the competition level, right? Competition versus the beginning of the year. September football versus December, January football are two different things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so competition is going to get stiffer, and it got better. We got to do the same. We got to match that.
Yeah. All right, let's move to the running backs. Obviously, C.J. Baxter got injured before the season, but Trey Wisner, 176 carries, 863 yards, 3 touchdowns, 32 catches for 229 yards and a touchdown. And I'm not going to go through everybody's stats, but Jaden Blue, 112 carries, 564 yards, 6 touchdowns, 34 catches for 267 yards and 4 touchdowns. And obviously, Jared Gibson in there as well.
Yeah, I think the running backs have done a decent job. I don't think they've done anything spectacular from a standpoint of the numbers or the stats perspective. I think the emergence of Trey Wisner late in the season, that was spectacular in and of itself. But if we're talking about the entire season, I was wanting more, right? That was something that I had said earlier on. We started to get it, but now with games being on the line, you can't play against some of the top defenses and then have the performance that the running backs had. And I know it's not all on the running backs. Offensive line plays a major factor in that. And then also making sure that you're set up with a successful play to begin with, depending on the looks that the defense gives you. And I just feel as though there's something that this Texas Longhorn team needs to figure out offensively from an identity perspective that involves the running back being able to give this offense more yards on first and second down to create third and manageables. This was the second time Texas was backed up, and I think that impacted their conversion rates on third down, although it was still decent, but it just allows the defense to pin their ears back, and we see what happens whenever Quinn is under duress and the way that he is. But the emergence of Trey Wisner late, I think, is awesome. Jaden Blue, if he's able to hang on to the football, he had 10 touchdowns, 10 total touchdowns, right? Had obviously much less carries than Trey Wisner. Catches are almost comparable, but being able to be as explosive as he is, Trey Wisner with more carries had 4 total touchdowns. So that goes to show you what Jaden Blue can be whenever he's on his game. Got to hang on to the rock, but having him not emerge in the way that a lot of us expected to emerge, I think impacted and kind of hurt the running game for this Texas team. So seeing him hopefully take another step forward and be complementary with Trey Wisner and that run game get established consistently against really good competition, I think will help solve some of the woes that the offense has experienced. But overall, I think the running backs have done a decent job.
I'm not going to question anything he just said that make a lot. I think you're just a little bit critical. I think you had.
Well, I think about a national champion. If you go and win a natty, which this team is talented enough to do, is the performances that you've seen by the running backs going to allow you to do that?
And I would answer that with a question flipped back to you, right? Is it a little bit of recency bias because of what we've seen this past Saturday versus what we've seen over the last month? The last month of football, we got a chance to witness a 8-minute, 14-play killing on the run game. We got a chance the following week to witness 30-plus touches and almost 180-something yards of rushing to win a very physical game against a great run front. Now, Georgia's run defense is one of the best, hands down, and has been for the last half decade at least. So I say, to your point, is what I've seen capable of going and taking us to the promised land? I don't think you see that Georgia front again until you see Georgia again.
It's 5 teams right now that's ranked ahead of Georgia.
No, yeah, agreed.
So let's not act like the level of competition is going to die down because they're not playing Kentucky and they're not playing A&M no more.
No, I agree. What I'm saying is Texas's road to that land goes through. You got Clemson at home. Mm-hmm. You got Arizona State in a neutral field.
And neither one of those are Georgia.
And then potentially you have Ohio State,
Notre Dame,
Ohio State, Oregon, or what's the third there?
Tennessee.
Oh, that's right.
And respect to all three of those. And Oregon's front is really good, but respect to all. And I just watched Penn State run through that front.
Yeah, that's what I was
But
gonna say.
respect to all three. Run through that front.
No, you're not lying.
Yeah, but respect to all three of those. None of them are that front that we've seen Saturday.
But you know what? Real quick before we go to the next to the receivers, what will help that running game? Personally, is maturing that arch package 6 to 8 times.
That does help.
You know what I mean? It's something different with a design quarterback run. It's something different when everybody's Manning's in the game and he hands it off. You know, it's and you add the RPO in there because obviously he can do the whole offense. That adds that wrinkle that may help us stay on the field, may help us not get in third and long. When you get into, when you get 5 yards on first down or 5 yards on second down, man, it just helps you out on third down. And Quinn's got the whole playbook, and we don't have to worry about them doing exotic blitzes and they coming from this way, coming from that way, and Quinn holding the ball, trying to wait for somebody to get open. And that's where the strengths of the defense comes to. Yeah.
Well, I do think that my frustration with this room is the situational use of the running backs. I think when we were earlier in the year, I think we did a better job of Jarrett Gibson was our grinded out guy, right? On fourth down, we needed hard yards. We went to Jarrett Gibson, and obviously he fell out of favor with the fumbles. I do think we missed that piece of it, right? That was he shows us the closest thing to a little bit of CJ Baxter, which are those hard yards. And then Jaden kind of falling out of favor, not being trusted in those situations, not having that X factor on the field. That's a huge deal. And Trey stepped up and has been the most dependable and solid. But I think there's something to that diversity that makes it harder for defenses instead of just knowing, I know what Trey Wisner can do here. And I think that's part of the issue. So
I got to piggyback one more time. You talked about Georgia. You talked about Oregon. You talked about Indiana, Tennessee, or not Indiana, Tennessee, Ohio State. Texas ain't playing to make it to the national championship. They playing to win it. And who they might face on the other side if they need to win it.
Notre Dame. I just don't think Georgia going without
all right, we got to get
I don't think Georgia going without
I think there's something to that. I think there's something to Georgia
but that's my critical
rising to the occasion against us. They got to make it all the way in their own right.
All right, we got to get through the whole offense.
I'll just say, last thing I'll say is Shuley got it. I'm going to shut up after this. All I'm saying is, bro, styles make fights. And what Georgia does really well impacts Texas in a way that I haven't seen anybody else been able to.
That's 100%.
We've derailed. We got to get through this.
Okay.
All right, wide receivers.
You got wideouts. Go ahead.
Matthew
Go,
Golden. I'm not going to go through all the stats, because we go ahead.
This is easy, man. This is easy. Isaiah Bond's been hurt. It's been unfortunate. It has been a jewel to watch Matthew Golden play this year. The boy is dynamic. He makes big play after big play. His one mess up, like Coach used to always tell us, if everybody can raise their hand and say, I only messed up once, you start looking around this room and you see a lot of hands up, we in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Matthew Golden's only mess up was the drop in the end zone.
Which he was interfered on. But go ahead.
Was the drop in the end zone. That was his only mess up that I can remember. You know what I mean? The boy has played some football. He's dependable in the red zone. He's made big plays. His run after catch is dynamic. He blocks on the edges. He's been healthy throughout the year, which is half the battle in itself.
Absolutely.
Like, he catches the ball over the middle. Like, he has been a stud for us, a complete stud. DeAndre Moore has stepped up as a true wideout 3. He's a true wideout 3 in my opinion. He made the big play. RPO, catches it, makes a man miss, outruns everybody else, puts it in the end zone.
To the crib.
Solid.
He has shown up in big moments. When I say wideout 3, he's also dropped the ball a little bit. When on the tougher catches that it's like, oh man, he can make that catch.
Yeah.
He can make it. You can't double clutch that one in the back of the end zone. He can make that catch, right? Isaiah Bond, gonna be a superstar in the league. I hope he plays forever. We just haven't got a chance to get everything out of what he has the ability to give us simply because of his ankle injury, man. It's been tough, and like you always, what they say?
Yeah.
Availability is the best ability.
Yep.
And he was walking out of the stadium in a walking boot this past weekend, so we don't know there. But the wide receiver room is as talented and diverse as we imagine them being. And we said over a month and a half, 2 months ago, I don't know if it's one guy that goes for 1,500 yards or multiple guys that are around that 500 to 600 yard mark. And you look at this 738, 532, and 387 when he wasn't even like the dedicated 3 until midway through.
Yeah, Wingo with 394 and Bolden with 234. So,
I'm very, very, very pleased with the production from that room.
No. All right, let's move to offensive line. Obviously, Kelvin Banks, DJ Campbell, Hayden Connor, Jake Majors, Cam Williams, Cole Hudson, and the recent step-up of Trevor Goose.
Yeah, Joe Moore. That's all I really got to say. Joe Moore Award, best offensive line in the country. Now, still want to see it against Georgia, right? The criticalness, but I'm grading it off a national championship caliber type of mindset that they are going to hold themselves to and probably even higher. But at the end of the day, Joe Moore Award winners. That's how I truly feel about the offensive line. They've been solid all season long.
What about DJ Campbell? What's he got to do?
What does he have to do?
Yeah, what kid got to do?
Well, number one, him and Cam Williams got to move their feet better.
Yeah.
That will help negate a lot of the offensive penalties and then be locked in, right? Cam Williams as the most penalized tackle in the country. You can't have that happen if you want to have the success that this team wants to have. AR already talked about the 11 penalties. Well, multiple infractions occurred by Cam Williams on the right side. I think DJ Campbell also can help himself by moving his feet, being a little bit more technique sound to be able to give him opportunity because he's talented beyond measure. Just got to be put into the best position by putting himself in that position and being locked in the entire time.
And I will say, in their defense, when Quinn tends to default to his right, if you guys watch, like that's where he scrambles to. So they're getting put in different situations, I think a little bit more so than the left side. But not making an excuse for it, but just saying. And, you know, they're like Cam's a younger guy. This is his first year.
You play offensive line, that's the expectation.
Yeah, I get it.
When I look at the craziest part is like thinking that like I think you were spot on. This could I'm interested to see if they win it.
Yeah.
And to know that what could potentially be awarded as the best offensive line in the country has a good amount of room for growth still.
Absolutely.
They got a tough battle with Army because Army's had a heck of a year and a heck of a line. But we'll see. All right, let's get to the tight ends. Obviously, Gunnar Helm, 49 catches, 611 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And then Juan Davis and Amari Niblack as well.
Yeah, Gunnar Helm. Goodness gracious. Wow. What a treat. What a treat. I know I'm getting old. I'm talking about what a treat.
Getting old. Getting.
Whoa. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. No, man, Gunnar Helm is special, man.
Yeah.
He is special. Now, if I had to pick a point in his game that I'm like, let's stay here right here and work, it's the run game. It's the run game. I want to see him drive guys off the ball a little bit more. And I would even say, like, in the time that he is being asked to sit in there and pass block, like, you got to drop your butt and you got to get physical, right? I think a part of that run game, especially when we try to run that split zone, trying to get to those edges sometimes, a part of that run game is being able to seal that edge, and that's going to happen by being able to reach with that tackle tight end combo. That more consistently will help. But his talent in the pass game, he is he's literally a matchup nightmare.
Yeah. Nightmare on Helm Street.
He is a nightmare on Helm Street. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? A guy Oaks highs that's much as more athletic than him and catching the ball over the middle. Like, what are you supposed to do with that?
Just took a stray. I don't know.
So he's lucky you can say that 10 years past my playing career.
On the other side of the table, too, for those. All right, well, we got to take our next commercial break. When we come back, DJ and Oak are going to break down the Texas defense. See y'all in a second. Welcome back to Third and Longhorn, where we are doing a season recap, and Derrick Johnson and Alex Okafor are about to break down the defense. So let's get right into it with the D tackles. Obviously, Vernon Broughton, Alfred Collins, Bill Norton, Jermaine Lole. You guys want to break it down?
Yeah. So coming into the season, major storyline was how do you replace Devondre Sweat and Byron Murphy. We knew it was going to be a tough task. The guys we brought in answered the call. I'm talking about Billy Norton, Jermaine Lole, Tia Savea. All these dudes set a standard from day one, and they lived up to that standard throughout the season. It's hard to bring in new guys and to get them to play to a level of their predecessors, and their predecessors were top dogs. So for us to be satisfied says a lot about the production that they put out there this year. You look at guys like Vernon Broughton and Alfred Collins, man, the development is there. You're seeing everything you want from the interior. Alfred Collins, a guy that we've been waiting to explode for the past 3 seasons. He gave us everything we wanted to see. He looked like an absolute superstar out there. And he's going to play on Sundays and be productive on Sundays. Vernon Broughton, probably one of my favorite players from this defensive line. I love interior pressure. Like, everybody thinks pressure comes from the outside and the bulk of it comes from the outside. The most effective pressure is right up the middle. If you really want to mess with a QB, you get pressure right in his face. And that's what Vernon Broughton provided us every single down he was out there on the field. So shout out Coach Kenny Baker for getting this unit intact. And we saw a level from this D tackle position that I think is going to be indicative of years to come.
Yeah. Let's go DNs. Baron Sorrell, Trey Moore, Colin Simmons, and Ethan Berg.
Okay. We talked about the big hogs inside. Now we're talking about the fireworks on the outside, man. What I love about this room in the defensive ends is that you got so many different skill sets on the outside. It's not just one prototypical guy and one type of mold that rushes. You got so many different interchangeable parts on the outside. You got Baron Sorrell, your top senior, coming in, probably the most productive guy coming into the season, and he added on to that production and led this unit all season long. Then you got Trey Moore coming right down the street from UT San Antonio. We didn't know what we'd see from him. We didn't know how he transitioned from a smaller school to the SEC. Man, this dude got better week after week. I know guys wanted to come in and see a 10-sack season from Trey Moore. That's not what we needed on the defensive side of the ball. We did not need that. There weren't many situations where we just got to pin our ears back and rush a drop-back passer. So from the situations we were put in on the defensive side of the ball, Trey Moore exceeded expectations in my eyes. And man, this past month of football, he's probably played the best out of all the defensive ends, man. Just playing the game the right way, the intangibles, the effort. He has a motor that's off the chart. So Trey Moore, love what I saw from him. You get to Colin Simmons, you get to the outstanding freshman, man. And I could go on a tangent for about 10 minutes about Colin Simmons. I still have him for 2 more years to talk about, so I'm gonna cut it short. But I think we all understand what we have in Colin Simmons. In Texas, we have found our pass rusher that can close games. Whenever we get into a drop back game, no number 11 is going to provide pressure down after down. And then what I love so much about this group is we have so much depth across the board too. You look at guys like Ethan Berg, Colton Vasek got in there a couple times. We are loaded at the defensive end position, and just like I said about the D tackles, we've created a standard, and that's the standard moving forward throughout Sark's tenure.
I do want to add real quick with Colin Simmons. He doesn't even have a bag yet, guys. Like I'm talking about a diverse Russian plan or whatnot. Because most of his stuff, he got his BGO, his ball get off is unbelievable. And right now he's just using that chop. But as you know, he's got that foundation of that speed get off, and now it's going to pose a lot of pressure on offensive tackles to open up. Now you get the speed power game. Now you can speed, you can chop and then spin inside. I mean, it's a lot of other stuff he can mature to. So this man, that number 11, and he can run too.
No
Goodness.
doubt. Did you see him?
I know that.
Running down ETN.
I know.
All right, I'm not letting y'all derail it.
I know.
Okay. Great job of keeping things quick. I appreciate that, Oak. Like you understood the assignment, unlike some other people. All right, linebackers: Anthony Hill, David Benda, Leonga Lafau, Mo Blackwell, and Ty Anthony Smith.
Man, as you know, we know the man in the middle, right? And that's Anthony Hill. Man, this guy right here, and he's assisted by David Benda and Leonga. These guys, Leonga, I'm going to talk about his two assistants first, but Leonga, man, he matured into a starter on this team. He wasn't a starter at first, so that's big praise for him. He's a smart player, tough player, not a rah-rah guy, but you see him making plays and doing what he's asked to do and to execute big-time responsibility in this defense. And then David Benda, he's just an old-school, older guy that knows how to work, and that's what he does. He's out there because he works harder than anybody. That's who David Benda is, and it's great to see him blitzing off the edge and doing other things in this defense. But it's all about Anthony Hill. When you talk about the linebackers, that's how prolific and amazing Anthony Hill is. I play the same position, guys. When I look at his stats, when you look at his stats, he got 90 tackles, 4 fumbles. He's got an interception, 16 tackles for loss. That's big time, man. You gotta be a downhill kind of linebacker, especially when you line up in the middle of the field. But I gotta tell you, I didn't say this stat yet, but 7.5 sacks. He doesn't rush the ball. He doesn't rush the passer. Right. So he's almost like Colin Simmons rushes all the time, and he's dynamic, right? He has 8. Anthony Hill has 7.5, and we talking about this guy can rush off the edge. He can be a spy for the quarterback. I mean, he can drop back. He's reliable when it comes to in the pass coverage. He can cover tight ends. He can cover running backs. He can do it all. I'm glad he's here, and he will let you know about it when he's in your ear after he makes the tackle. So
piggybacking off that real quick, I know it's quick. Anthony Hill, he unlocks this defense. Like, if you watch the situations that this D coordinator puts him in, you talk about his dropping on the seams. You talk about him blitzing, rushing the passer. He does so much for this defense, and that's what allows us to really get this defense going.
Yeah. Ayo, not the teacher's pet no more.
No, he better be careful. He's going to lose his gold star. All right, cornerback. Malik Muhammad, Jade Barron, Gavin Holmes, Jalen Gilbo, and Kobe Black.
So we're talking about the number one passing defense in the nation. I mean, now when you look at this, though, you look at Malik, who's probably our best covered corner. He doesn't have an interception, right? Like that's, but sometimes, by the way, I was going to say that. Hold on. Sometimes that's a good thing. When you don't have stats at certain positions, like a cornerback position, like there's times that Deion just like, he ain't got no interception because nobody's testing him like that.
I forget Malik's in the game until I see him just all of a sudden. I'm like, 5.
Yeah, and he's reliable when he's coming up, being strong and having the crack replace and go up there and tackle for the running game or whatnot. But really, when you talk about stats, let's talk about Jade. Yeah. Jade has had a great year, like a big time year. I mean, he's up for a lot of awards. Being able to have 5 interceptions. Jade, man, this is kind of cool. Like, Jade's playing cornerback, and he has all these stats, but he's not. Jade's probably not going to be a cornerback in the league. I mean, Jade can be a nickel. He can be a safety. He can do it all. So it's kind of cool to see him being a big time player on this defense, top 5 defense in the league. And Gilbo, having Gilbo play this nickel spot, and he didn't play last year. He's coming off an injury or whatnot. And Gilbo he's very energetic, very nosy when it comes to the running game. Had a couple plays in this past SEC championship game. But there's a lot of dang it, what's the word I want to use?
Talent. Just the overall talent in that room.
Dynamic.
Definitely a lot of versatility from Gilbo. Thank you.
There it is.
But there you go.
Nick old too. That's what he knew what you were looking for.
What year is Gilbo?
This is third.
Junior, I believe.
Yeah, this is third year.
I like him a lot.
Yeah. No, he's great. Let's get into the safeties. And every time you say Gunnar Stockton's name, the only thing I think about is Andrew Makuba with the nastiest hit.
Legal.
Totally legal.
Nastiest
totally
legal
hit. I looked at it and I thought, I was like, Dang, I wish he aimed low and hit his elbow.
Dude, and
that ball.
And by the way, the refs got one right there. I will give you credit for it. Because I imagine him having to sit out the first half of the Clemson game.
Especially
Folded.
That was how that kid held onto the ball.
Yeah, I don't know how he did that. I don't know how he got up.
His spirit had left his body.
That's the only reason why.
His body held on to the ball.
It just stayed there.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, when you look at these safeties, man, you look at all four of them that we got mentioned right here, Makuba, Taft, McDonald, and Williams. Williams hurt right now, but all of them can go. All of them can go. And Jay Hill said something at the beginning of the year, and I thought he was quick to say it when he called Makuba a eraser. You're right, dude. He's a racer, man. Like this dude can tackle in space. I mean, he's not that big, but he will hit you and take your soul from you. That's who we need back there. So you see those receivers going up and having those alligator arms. That's because Makuba's back there. But Taft, super smart, not the most athletic, not the most big, not the biggest one, not the fastest. Taft make plays all the time. I mean, he got the highest grade in PFF.
Yeah, PFF. Number one greatest
He's
safety.
a monster. Kid's a monster.
So you got to get hats off to there. But, man, this defense as a whole, top 5 defense, man, I'm proud of all these guys.
Yeah. I would love to see Taft and Gilbo come back and really lead this charge next year.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right, we're going to get into the special teams. I'm going to make this really quick and painful for all of us. And we'll get through it. But
painless.
No, I said painful on purpose. Burt Auburn, 55-55 on extra points, but 14 of 21 on field goals at 66%, 97 points on the year. I still believe in Burt, but we've got to get this right hash situation.
We just needed him to be 16 of 21.
And Burt, I'm challenging you. You know you're my guy. I've ridden for you all year. I'm getting a lot of flack for it, but I still believe in you. We got this. Michael Kern, 31 punts, 40-yard average, 7 inside the 20. We got to get more. We got to get more length on the punts. We have to. We have to. You watch Georgia flip the field. We've got to be able to do that. And Will Stone, 49 out of 82 touchbacks. He's been solid on kicks. I haven't had any problem with that on the kickoffs. Ian Ratliff came in and punted well, 8 punts, 44-yard average when Kern was injured. And then the return game, I think we've just been waiting the whole year for these guys to break one. Silas, 25 returns, 219 yards, but 55 came on one return, so he's averaging 8.7 yards a return. Matthew Golden, 12 returns for 248, averaging 20. You can feel him waiting to break one, too, along at 31. But if we're going to make a run at this championship, our special teams have to be better.
I agree.
And I hate saying it because we joked all year and I've been ride or die for the special teams. We got to be better.
Yep.
We do. All right. Now let's get to the fun part of the show. We got a few minutes left. So I want to go through Texas' biggest weaknesses and how do we fix them. I know we have a few things. Feel free to add your own here. As we make this playoff run, these are the things that I think if we don't fix them, it's going to cause us a lot of problems and inability to close out these games, et cetera. Red zone. How do you fix it?
Has red zone been an issue all year, or just Georgia?
A&M. You forgot the A&M game?
Yeah, A&M too. So Georgia, A&M, I guess. So I mean, this is a problem that has popped out over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I thought we were outstanding in the red zone leading up into the past 2 weeks. I'm looking at Burt Auburn's attempts. They're significantly down from last year. I was wondering, is that the reason why he's missing them? Because he's out there fewer times? I don't know. I don't know how to answer this question. We got to clean up the past 2 weeks, but I don't know if it's indicative of our whole season.
I think it is indicative. Texas is currently ranked 92 in red zone offense.
Wow.
It's not just a 2-week thing.
Okay.
And it stemmed over from last year. They were able to answer the questions in a few games. Now, don't get me wrong. It did improve from a season ago, but number one, you got to be able to tote the rock in the red zone. The reason why Texas lost in overtime was because Trevor Etienne was able to get a couple big plays that helped get them in manageable positions on third down. Then Gunnar Stockton used his legs as well. So if you can run the ball in red zone, that's a start, right? That's a big bonus. The second aspect is the accuracy, right? There were multiple times Quinn took shots into the end zone, and whether it got tipped, whether it was picked, or whether it was just overthrown, those plays and passing plays have not resulted into Texas being able to get touchdowns, which is what's going to be critical. And I think that's where you got to clean up some of the mishap.
They do have to clean it up, but in their defense, guys, we defensive guys, when they get down to the red zone, it's hard to run the ball.
No question.
It's hard. We coming up.
No question.
We can't get beat deep.
But, I mean,
Look, offensive guys,
that's the goal, though.
Listen,
let's go.
If Georgia can do it against the best defense in the country, why can't Texas do it?
Whoa.
Uh-oh.
It's that scramble up the middle. That's what put them in position. That was
quarterback
the
draw.
killer.
That's what I'm
To
saying.
me, that was
That's
the
a
killer.
Russian
Is that
play.
not a Russian
Well,
play? Well, to me,
It's a mindset,
that
though.
was a tendency play. Like if we knew Stockton was going to be the starter the whole game, we would have had a check for that. Beck ain't running that scramble up the middle, is he?
I'm saying
Beck
that
has shown he
wasn't-
can do it,
Wait,
though.
time out. That wasn't the first time they spread us out and run the
True.
draw from the shotgun. in that
True.
game.
We should have been ready for that. That's true.
That's
true.
They specifically ran that play on that down against that set.
And it was so
He's
bad.
a running
that-
quarterback.
Yeah,
It was
and that's
so
what I'm
bad that I called it. If I can
Well,
call it, somebody who makes
And that's
$1
what
million
tells
can
me
call
that it wasn't in the game
call
plan.
it
These
too.
guys aren't stupid. It tells me it wasn't in the game
Understandable.
plan.
No disrespect.
I'm just saying
but
that's what
I
you got to
think-
be able
yeah,
to
I'm
do
saying like
if
this,
you
like
want to score touchdowns.
You get your quarterback knocked out the game. You bring in a guy that is not expected to perform at the level needed to win this game in this game, and he does it in this game against this defense. They found a way to score a touchdown in the red zone. We need to find a way to score touchdowns in the
All right,
red
we
zone.
got to
End of
keep
discussion.
going. And by the way, props to Makuba for teaching Stockton how to slide. He just
Yeah, absolutely.
never
Such-
get that moment.
That's good. I mean,
Or maybe he did.
listen, Andrew McCoy is a gentleman and a scholar, and that's why he's like,
100%.
sir, this is how you slide.
Yeah. All right, penalties. We got it. Like, I know we actually had gotten it under control. We talked about it on the postgame show, but it reared its ugly head again. How do you fix that going in?
You just concentrating on the fundamentals. Just do it better. Do it better. And yeah, some of them were, just like Jay Hill said, some of them probably shouldn't call, but, 11.
Roughing the passer on Collins.
Oh, that was bad.
That was bad.
No,
That's
we don't need to pick apart. I mean, obviously it was.
But
it was
we
not
just
well
we got to do better.
officiated,
We
but-
can't beat ourselves. Like, we're good enough to win it in clean fashion. So
Pre-snap penalties, just take focus.
Yeah.
So you got to focus in.
Well, and I think the frustrating thing for me was I don't think the majority of the penalties they called were wrong. I just think that you've got to balance it out better. That was my frustration. Like, the majority of them we were doing, but it is what it is. Third quarters. The third quarter has become our Achilles heel. This year in the first quarter we've scored 108 points. Second quarter 151. Third quarter 82. Fourth quarter 93. Yeah. We're very top heavy in scoring in the first half. Yeah.
what they say in halftime is the first 5 minutes got to come out. Yeah.
Well, that's a part of the adjustments, and then and focusing and locking in, and then going after it. What it shows me, if I were to try to go way too deep and figure something out, a week of game planning, coaching, and repping what we anticipate seeing and delivering that message to 3, and then the offense getting going, we found a way to do that. 15 minutes to now adjust to what we've been doing, where they've been winning, and them do the same thing. It takes us time to catch back up and now be effective and efficient again in the third quarter.
And that's one of the other problems is slow starts. And I think we've started to become slow out of the gate at the start of the games and slow out of the gate at the start of the second half. And this team, we saw it last year. This team can come out and Sark goes on these runs, these 3 touchdown runs that put these games away. But we're granted we're playing a little tougher defenses the last couple weeks, but we got to get that figured out.
Explosive plays always helps with slow start.
That's
So if
facts.
you can create an explosive in your first 3 plays without
going.
going 3 and out,
You can get going.
and get going, that usually results in points for that drive because of the momentum that you're able to create.
Yeah. All right.
What kills that momentum? Penalties.
And turnovers.
And
Turnovers. How do we fix the turnovers? They've started rearing themselves again.
I mean, you asking all offensive questions.
Dang! Oh, it ain't a team sport no more. It's an offense and a defense.
Did that buzz hit you too?
God!
I'm just looking at the notes here.
Nick keeps looking at me for these answers, and I'm like, I can't
But
give them to
y'all ain't been able to
Like,
chime in.
I've heard them talk enough. I'm trying to get y'all.
I mean, all of these issues, they're discipline issues. So, I mean, we got to talk about how do we handle discipline? How do we tighten up on discipline? I don't know if it's the old school approach by, we're going to make you run gassers for all these penalties and turnovers. No, like our team is past that. We found success. So It's a question for Sark, and it's a question for the team leaders. And I would really challenge our leaders to take the bull by the horn and not make it a coaching issue. Like, take ownership of your team, take ownership of both units on the ball, all 3 phases, and let's really lead this thing from a player's perspective.
Man, and I got a quick question before we end with turnovers. Being a defense side of the ball, when I'm looking at our turnovers sometimes, especially with Quinn, and he don't turn the ball over a lot, but when he does, it doesn't look good. It's a bad turnover, right?
Now, over half of his interceptions have come off of tips.
True, not those. That is true. There's
So
certain.
right.
So that's
Right.
a good point.
Right.
Certain turnovers, it's like, okay, cool. I saw you tried to fit in there, but some of them, it's like
Right.
not you. Not the standard is a standard. You know, you're big time. It is what it is.
But to that point, I think the frustrating part for most of Texas's fan base with 3 has been the not learning and repeating the same mistake of, like, you tried to force this ball in against A&M and this DB just dropped it. Yeah. And then you tried to force this ball in on the out route and it turned into a 90-something yard pick 6. Yeah. You know, you play in Georgia, you throw this one in inside, you try to throw a fade ball, but you throw it too close inside and that DB just dropped it again. And then you throw it inside in the 4th quarter on this side and that DB catches it. Yeah. And it's like, hey, stop doing that.
His feet are on set too. Every time, all those you named, his feet were on set.
It's definitely a footwork thing because it's not an arm talent thing.
No question.
But at some point, I'm hoping it's now.
Yeah.
At some point, like, I think with Quinn, what I see from him when he's very confident throwing that football, when it's like a know versus a think type thing.
Yeah.
When he knows this ball goes there, it gets there. And it gets there confident, accurately, with some zip on it. And when he thinks it goes there, it don't get there the same.
Yeah. All right. Well, we ran way over today, but that's all right. We will be back next week to preview the Clemson game and the playoff game. Obviously, we won't have a post-game show since there is no game this weekend. You guys keep getting your T-shirts. The white and the black shirts are still available. Plus, you can go to Last Stand Hats and get these great hats like Fozzy's wearing, etc. So, appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see y'all next week. Hook 'em.
Give me Texas by 1 million.